All right. So what we have done so far is cover the introduction, and we have also learned how to model reports using one of the visual. Can anybody remind us which of the visual we have used so far in Power BI? We have used table visual, right? We have also used, did we use matrix in your class? Okay. But we have used some of these clustered bar visual and stacked column what chart visual. Now, if you can still remember, I said what you are expected to make sure that you have it knowledge in Power BI is the visualizations, the visuals, ability to use them to derive insights from any given data sets. It's very, very important. How do we use these models? Remember that I refer to them as models as well, because they are used to model insights that could be used or will be used for smart decision making. So in this section, I'm looking at different models or different visual entirely, but it's going to be more practical because we want to create or design a dashboard. And in the course of designing or creating the dashboard, we will be involving some visuals which we have not covered. So we are going to start with what is a Power BI dashboard. We'll also look at Power BI cards. We will also look at Power BI Q&A. So there's still one more here that I will also cover. There's no way we can work with card without involving it. So which is Power BI measure. So we'll work with Power BI measure. But we'll start with what is Power BI card. So let's quickly, so that you know what and what is expected of you when you say you can create an interactive and dynamic dashboard with Power BI. So a Power BI dashboard is a single page interactive view that displays key metrics and visualization from your data, helping users quickly monitor business performance or specific processes at a glance. So still highlighting the importance of a dashboard. I know I've described what the dashboard is to us for now. In a technical or in a more technical term, we can see dashboard as an interface that connects multiple findings represented with different models. That is more technical definition of dashboard. An interface that connects multiple findings represented with different models. So what are these models? These models could represent the table. So there could be the tabular model representing one of your insights in your dashboard. And there could also be a matrix model also representing your findings. It could also be stack, column, clustered, bar chart, and the rest of them. So what we are saying is how you are able to generate different reports from the given data set, represented with all this model in one interface that is called what? A dashboard. So a lot of creativities are involved when you are building dashboards in Power BI, because your dashboard must be interactive and your dashboard must be user friendly. The user shouldn't find it difficult to identify your key or your KPI, which means what? Key performance indicator. So at the end of your dashboard, you should be able to measure the progress of your business. So when an organization consults you as a data analyst to build dashboards for them, it is because they want a quicker system that helps them to quickly see their trends, their patterns, and the outliers. So that is what it is. Now, let's quickly look at the key features of this dashboard. Now, while explaining the key features, so that you know what your dashboard should have at the end of the day. So if after designing your dashboard, you could not identify this feature, you have not started. Because the features are actually the objective, what you are expected to have. Number one is single page. So the dashboard should be single page, also called a canvas. A canvas that summarizes data using visualization. It's one of the key feature of Power BI dashboard. So there should be a canvas. Now, if I could just switch back to Power BI, show us the section we are describing as the canvas is this. Let me collapse this section first. So the whole of this part is called what? The canvas. So this is where all your reports represented with different models should be situated. So which means that none of your reports should go outside what? This dotted what section. That is the canvas that we are talking about here. So that is one of the key features. And then you can see what I highlighted. Never build a Power BI dashboard without using charts to represent some of your insights. So that is why I mentioned that there should be what? Charts as one of the model representing your key values. There should be map. Unfortunately, this session I will not be able to get to map. Definitely in our next meeting, I should be able to consider map and even the KPI. So what I want to teach us in this session covers charts. Definitely we are going to have charts in the dashboard we are going to build today. We are also going to use cards to also present some of our single metric findings, and it is another key feature of Power BI dashboard is it pulls data from one or multiple Power BI reports or data sets. So it aligns with my introductory statements where I said the dashboard technically can be defined as an interface that connects multiple findings represented with different models. So another key feature is that designed to give insights. So dashboard is designed to give insights. at a glance, somebody could just look at your dashboard and be able to identify the insights, not struggling to find out the key or the KPI. That is what I meant by not for deep exploration. The next feature of the dashboard is can include real-time data from streaming data sets. And of course, the last one here is you can pin visuals from multiple reports onto one dashboard. All right, so that is what dashboard is all about. Now, like I highlighted, that we shall be building an interactive dashboard. In other words, an interface that will help us to analyze our data for insights that will be used for decision making. So let's start with the first one, which is Power BI card, because it's one of the visual we are going to use to design our dashboard. So let's find out what is Power BI card. The Power BI card is a type of visualization used to display a single data point. So the key attributes that describe Power BI card is to display single data points. Now, when you are performing aggregate analysis, you are not supposed to use a card. What do I mean by that? If I have 3 unique values in my data set, let's say I have record collected from Delta State, I have record collected from Edo, and I want to aggregate them as categorical data. I shouldn't consider card. Card is mainly used for displaying single value. Let's say the total of everything, 1 million. The total of everything, 100,000. So not the kind of analysis where you have to list out the unique value and aggregate their total against them. That is the kind of presentation you have or you want to have. You have to consider using table. Table is best used for analyzing categorical data. Hope you are with me. So that is what, now here is an image of a collection of cards. So you can see when I say single metric. So this is just like total salary from what? Delta State. This is just like for Edo. This is just like for Lagos. You can see that here we are not aggregating this value against what? Categorical value. It's just one value we are displaying. That is the best scenario to use card. Right? So let's quickly look at some of the characteristics of a Power BI card. What are some of the characteristics? One, display one value, which I just mentioned. So cards are used for displaying what? One value. For example, total sales, number of customers, average score. Another characteristic of Power BI card is often used to highlight important figures at the top of a report or dashboard. You are going to see all that played out. So you can see the recommendation now. We always use them to highlight important figure. There are some figures in your analysis that you actually want the user to focus on. So those kind of figure, they should be captured with card at the top of the main reports. I hope you are getting it. Then another characteristic of Power BI card is that it supports conditional formatting, what we call conditional formatting, which we also learned in the cell, where you format or you transform certain value based on a specified condition. For example, I can say that if the value in my card is greater than 1 million, the color should be green. But where the value in my card is less than 1 million, the color should be red. So within me, I know that when I see red, it means that what a particular variable is underperforming. That is one of the characteristics of Power BI card. Next one is that it can be interactive. It can be interactive, which means clicking a card can filter other visual. I'm going to demonstrate all this when I get to the application aspects. You know, there was this concept we used then when we were in the cell. We used a technology called slicer. You still remember that? Good, which we were using to what? To filter across what? Multiple what? Models, right? Now, that same thing is here. That's what we are saying. So if you don't have a slicer, inserted here, if you click on any of the card value, it can act as what? Slicer. That is what we are saying. All right. So now, before you involve cards, you must first of all what? Create your measure. So that is the first practical thing we are going to do. We're going to start by creating measures. So let's know what measures are in Power BI. Now we already know what card is. I just want to conclude the theoretical aspects so that once I focus on the practical aspect, I will not be coming back to the slide. So what is Power BI measure? That you cannot use card without having it. Yes, without having measure, you can actually use table. But when it comes to card, you must have a calculated what? Calculated what? Value. So there must be a calculator that you must have built that must have carried out a particular analysis for you and store the result within itself. Now, you need card to output the result of that what? Calculator. So that is the reason why I have to redirect us towards to measures before finally involving a card. Because the issue is that if I insert the card vision, the question I will ask myself is that the value that the card will be outputted, where are those values? Because those are the values that you must have what? Calculated. So in Power BI, a measure is a calculated value that you find that define your what? That define using DAS. Remember, I've mentioned that before, right? So everything I am going to teach us today concerning measure is going to be the basic DAS function. So probably in the next class, we can now start what? Advancing. So I told us in our last class that there is a data language. This program uses in constructing all the formula for performing all the calculations that are possible here. And that language is called what? Data analysis what? Expression. So DAS measure, okay, in Power BI, a measure is a calculated value that you define. That is what you are the one that will create it. Using DAS, using that data language, measures are used to what? Perform calculation on your data. You see, the simple report we created the other time, we just simply drag an integer or number data type into our table visual, right? And that perform the calculation. So you will have asked yourself, which function was used to derive those calculations? Were you the one that
created that calculation? The answer is no. So in other words, the functions that are already tied to each of those visual are sum, count. Remember, we were able to switch the other time. So those ones, they are inbuilt what? Function. But there are scenarios whereby none of those functions can actually handle the kind of calculation you want. Let me cite one. Let's assume that this particular salary payroll that we have here, if I ask you now, let me expand it. If I ask you to calculate the total, that's the total basic salary, give you the answer, and then calculate the total what? Gross benefit, then deduct the total of these two. Is there any formula that you have that can do that for you? No. So you have to consult the DAS language and define that function by yourself. And that is one of the areas that you must be good at when you say you understand Power BI very, because almost every user knows how to use the inbuilt sum count. But once your ability to use measure to customize different functions that can handle different analysis is one area you should dwell much on. And we are going to do that in building our dashboard. Okay, so let me go back to the slide. I just want to make sure that I finish everything about the slide before switching. So I think this is the last slide. Okay, I've written everything on this slide. Okay, so let's quickly look at, okay, that's where I am now. Let's look at what exactly is a measure so that you have a clear picture of what you are talking about. A measure could be, a measure is created using what? DAS formula. That is, this formula that you're going to use, they are harbors within DAS as a language. A measure calculates values on the fly based on the context of your reports. So your reports will actually determine how you create these calculators. So these measures are going to act as pieces of calculators that you are integrating into your data, which ordinarily did not come with your data. So you are adding them to your data in order to use them to output certain calculated value through the card. So we can have, like what I have in bracket there, you can regulate them with meter, slicer, chart. Measure return a single value. Often used in what? Visual like what? Did you see it? Visual like what? Card, table, or what? Charts. So I will come back to Power BI Q&A when I'm done with what? Card and what? Measure. So the reason why I'm combining them because they work together. But Q&A can actually what? Stand alone. So if you are done writing, can we go to the design now properly? Okay. So now I have my dashboard ready. I have my dashboard ready. Now I have to start by saving this particular dashboard. Nobody should work. You have to observe all through. So remember, I'll choose where I want to save it. Desktop. Give it a name. Let me say Monday, Wednesday, data analytics class. So once that is done, the next thing is for me to give my dashboard a description. We could not open the words, whatever. Okay, thank God that I have them. Let me go through it again and find out. Yes, I just want to use Monday, Wednesday. Let's see. Wait, it may have been renamed, moved, or deleted. Yeah, that's what I actually wanted to do, but just working and at the end of the day now. All right, so I have to give my dashboard a description, and that will take me to insert, select what? Text box. Then the description will be instead of just dashboards, I wanted a more descriptive word like business business. Yes, because based on the data we are dealing with, salary dashboard. Now, I want to format it, highlight it, bold it, increase the size. These are basic formatting tools we know already from Microsoft Word. You can reduce the frame if at the end of the day you could not use it all. You can drag it and put it where you want it to be. So ordinarily, you can leave the space where you are working. When you are through, you can now do your formatting. That is the best practice so that you will not be distracted. Now, once you have described your dashboard, if I need shape, probably to represent anything, I can come here and create my shape. All this is just, maybe you are just trying to beautify to give focus to this particular word. That is what this should be advertising. So this will lead somebody to see this. That is the idea. In case you also want a button. Now, remember I said you can link. I use the word you can pin. You can link, and this I can't attempt to use now. Letter. I should do what? Me. Now, go downstairs, meet there for pen. How will you have me for pen? So now, button, the error of button is that it's possible that the question you are answering, all of that cannot be, compacted here. So what you do is that you extend it to another word, dashboard. Now, in this first dashboard, there is, so this is where you highlight the button that somebody can just click and then take the particular word to this particular word, dashboard. Maybe that is where you have the information. Now, let's add the button. So I will just click. So what type of button do you want? So let's say you want right word, arrow word, button. Click, and that will give you the button here. Now, this particular button, once you click on it, you said, whether you can move it. Yes, you can move it. So If you click on this button, let me bring out some of this so that we can see it. Once you select it, you will see all these options under what? Format what? Button. Now, you can come here for the shape of the button. So let's say apply setting to, you want this kind of a shape. Now, that is hover state. That is when they touch it, what will reflect. And maybe you are a web developer, you understand what is called what? Hover. Hover is an effect that comes on an object when the user will trigger another action by touching it. So it's not the actual appearance. The person will only see that reflection when he or she what? Touches the button. So that is what this is. So the type of shape that you want, you can choose this. Then we are still going. The rotation, depending on the one that's applied to what you want. It's not compulsory you use all of them, but I just want us to walk through them. Let me collapse this. Where I'm actually targeting to is what? The action. That is where you reference this page. Now, if I have created, we have a page 2 now, right? Good. So under page 2, under the action, let's see what we have here. So I'll select here. And then if you ask me for what? URL, let me see. It's telling me back. Okay, let me click here if I can see this. So this is where we are supposed to, this particular icon destination. So once we click here, that's supposed to, let me see if I can get a better option. So this is where we should click that we bring out the list of, but it's not active. Let me find out. Let me see troubleshoot. This one is just so that particular text is what will appear on top of the button. You can see that because of the rotation that I used the other time. That rotation, don't worry, I'll go back there. So let's just keep going. The field, let me expand it. Choose the color. It's too transparent so that I can see the field. Shadow, turn it on. Want some shadow. All these are just design. I just want to see once we have done all this whether it will activate the button. If it does not, we will just continue first. Take time to notify it. And under action, this must be active. Okay, so I will use this later. I will try and notify so that it doesn't slow us down. Let me just work with. So you can see that hover effect. That hover effect. So we have our button just for us to link it later. Now, the next thing I want to do is to create the measure. Remember I said the card will be used to output what? The measure. So how do we create our measure? So you can be writing your practical steps, how to create measures in Power BI, how to create measure in Power BI. How to create measure. All right. Now, to start with, select the data frame to build the measure on. Select the data frame to build the measure on. So in this case, we are building or integrating the model, the measure on staff data what? Data. Because that is where you are going to use them. So you make sure that that particular data set is what? Selected. After that, you can right-click any of the header and select what? New measure. Or you will see these options here from the tab. You can either consider the new measure here, or you right-click on any of the fields and select new measure. And that will redirect us to the measure interface. Okay, so this is your measure what? Interface. Now, you have to give your measure a name. So this is just like a calculator. So instead of using the word measure, I can use the word what? Calculator, because it's going to calculate values for you, which will be outputted through the card or table. So it is advisable that you use a descriptive name. For example, what kind of calculation do you want to perform with the measure? You suggest the name of that measure. So the question I want to answer with the measure is, sorry, you need to note it down. Before you consider creating your measure, you need to identify what your analysis question, what you are trying to answer with the measure. So in this case, what I want to answer with the measure is the summary of, or the total basic salary. So I want this calculator to calculate the total basic salary. So I will name it what? Total. I'll delete that measure and give it my own name. Total, I can say underscore basic. Basic. There is no alarm, sir. But we are trying to follow the standard. You know the application already, all the way from Python. You don't want to create room for any form of error. Now, after that, you now consult the function. If you look at that question implies us using what? Sum, right? Hello. Summarizing, meaning that what? We are summing values, right? So I will just type sum. This function are already built in the task. That's why once you type the first two letters, it will bring it out. So I will click on it. Sorry, I will just say what? Sum. Then I'm selecting this one. So the moment you type that sum, and open the bracket, it will automatically synchronize all the data sets you have loaded here. They are headers. You can see that what is showing right now is that it has automatically attached the function towards all the headers in that healthcare data. Good. So, but remember, our question is on what? Staff data, right? So what I will do is to scroll down, you will come across the one for staff. Those ones are the first one because that is what you selected. The one you click on before coming here. That is why it listed what? All the headers in that data set before the other data sets to have this. So you have to be careful. Eh? Yes, I have healthcare here. Look at it here. Look at this here. I have healthcare here. So if you have loaded up to 5 different data sets, don't be surprised you see all of them be captured here. But you need to be careful so that you don't pick wrong heading from another data set where you don't intend to use the card. So now the question involves basic salary, right? So this is the one I'm going to use. right? I'll pick it. So this is a formula that will automatically total all the values you have in what? Basic salary field. So if I click here now, this is where you implement the function. So ordinarily, look at it, ordinarily, you will have just come here and manually write this function. If you don't know that, all these functions are already what? In the DAS library. So how do you now implement it? You click on this, which means what? Commit. So by the time you click on it, if it throws you any error, it means that what? That formula is not correct. So let me click on it now. I want it to what? To take some time. And then you will now see this name among this header. That is right now it's showing what? Measure. Once it acknowledges it, you will see this particular name among your data header. So let's check now. Is it here? And it's showing now the symbol of what? Calculator. That is why I said measure in a simple term. It's called what? Calculator. That you integrate, you build, you customize on your data set to do something for you. So what is this calculator built for? Can anybody respond? Is to what? To analyze the total what? Cool. Now the next question is that which visual will you use to what? Because the answer is already there, but you have to put it in your what? Dashboard with one of these visual. That is where card comes in. So remember, I've already described the theoretical aspect, so I don't want to be going back there. So now to display the result is here. Now to output the result, I have to click on the card visual, and I told her that the card are always used to display what? Single what? Metric value at the top of what? Your dashboard. So the main report will be here. So let me say I'm going to put them here. All the analysis done with the card will be what? At the top. While the main categorical or what? Classification analysis will now be what? In the main dashboard section. So now, once you have inserted your card, then activate this, just click on it. This is the result. The total of everything is what? 19 what? Million. Now you can now reduce it because it's just one value. There's no point of what? Using it to occupy what? Space. Don't reduce it. Then switch to what? Format visual, right? I've taught us this. Then I want to format this. One, I want to start with the frame, the container itself, which I said should be under what? General. I want to focus on that. So the effect where I'll be able to define my card background first. Please remember the advice I gave to all the other time that when you are formatting your report, have a kind of unique colors you are dealing with. And please don't use more than 2 professionally. Once a dashboard has more than 2 colors, it becomes what? Amateur dashboard. Sometimes it will be static. It's not going to be unique. So now, let me check other title. Do I want to give a title? What is the benefit of the title? It's just to write what? The question that I answer. If this, that is why, look up here. That is why when you are describing, when you are naming your measure, use a name that answer what? The question. So there is no need of using what? Title. If you use a descriptive name. Now, supposing you just use name like total. Total of words. That means to now involve you using what? Title, so that you can explain it better. But now I feel that total this has already what? Explained it. So there's no point of me doing what? Adding title. You say something. Yes, we will edit it. Yeah, exactly. But I'm not trying to. I don't need title because it's going to be a kind of repetition. So I'll leave that. I'll leave the title section. Then I'll go down and check. I want it to stand out. So I want shadow. I use it now to stand out from other words report. So I can expand it and change the title color, the shadow color, if I want, maybe to another color that will present it more. Then I can determine the positioning of what? The shadow effect, either inside or what? Outside. So I'm not going to really dwell much on this because I have already treated it. I just want to, for the sake of those I missed that word, formatting class. Now, data format. So I can come here, you can see now this is what the header, right? So I can come here and say, okay, this is where you have number, so we don't need this for this. Where I want to represent the value in percentage or whole number or currency, whatever. So let me just switch back to visual so that I can focus on what? The content. And then from here, call out values, bold it, just take note of what is transforming as I'm touching all these words, formatting tools. The handwriting, look for the one that is more visual or visible. You can specify the words, the size. If it's too big, you can reduce it. Then the color, that black, is it okay? Or we should go to white? Let's try white. White is okay, right? White is okay. So but we can still use that word, that black. Then the units. The unit is in what? Is in million, right? I can say it should be in thousands. I can say it should be in what? Billion. But it's not going to show anything because everything is up to what? Billion. So let's stick to what? Which one do you think is better? In what? In million. Just for you to know in case you have higher value. The value in decimal is auto. So if you come here now, you can say, okay, 1 decimal is 19.5, 2 decimal. So if you want them to be represented in what? Decimal units. So you can as well do that, or you take it off. Now, the next one, let's look at what? Call category what? Label. Under category label, that is for the what? That name of the measure. So let me give it black so it will come out better. So let me increase the size. Let me increase the size. Okay, so if I'm okay like this, fine. So let's just assume, just take your time because your assignment, make sure that your dashboard is well designed, is user friendly. That's why we are doing all this. So that is one question I have answered with what? Card and what? Measure. Now, another question, be writing them down. Another question is, what is the total number of employees in the salary data set? What is the total number of what employees in the salary data set? What is the total number of what employees in the salary what data set? So it means that I'm going to create another word, measure, but I will use what? Count. So each of these questions will now suggest your measure. So let me quickly go back there. So I will right click here again and then select what? New measure. Then I will name it what? Total good. Total what? Total underscore. Sorry, let me delete what I have there before. Total underscore what? Number underscore of what? Okay, let me just see what? Employee. You understand? Employee. Now here, I will just type what? Counts. Now, just like I said, we have count A. Who can tell us what it means? If the column you are going to use as a criteria for the counting is string, you use what? A. If the column is what? Integer or number, you use what? Count. So based on that, I will just go and focus on what? That same word, basic salary column, because I have integer there, right? Exactly. Did you understand it? No response. Yeah, because I'm using count instead of count A. And even I chose count A, then I can use what? Department. Because I have string there and count A can count. But because I choose count, that is why I'm looking for a column with what? Numbers, right? Good. So I click. And then I will also what? Commit. So the measures you also display here. This is it, right? Then I will now create another word, card. So I'm arranging them, and then I will just turn on what? this. They are what? 150. We are working with this data all this one, so we can confirm that what? We have what? 150. Sir, I don't want to waste my time formatting. Look at what I'm going to do now. The way I formatted this, I want this one to inherit automatically. So I'll click on this and select what? Format what? Painter, and then click on this. I save my time. Now, go. I have to, thank you very much. So that is why it's good for you to know how to what? To format now. So I'll just come here. I change it from where? From million to what? Thousand. Thousand. Let's say what? None. Left on none, so that it can be in what? In 100. So now you can see the way, that's why the first one, just take the time to format it very well. Now you can replicate it by using that function. Now, for the challenge I have here, is that the width of these two, they are not the same. So it's making my work not to be unique. So I'll click here and do what? Reduce it. This is one thing you should watch after. Consider what the height, the height are the same. If I make it like this now, it's disfiguring it's not giving me a unique word arrangement. And the space I am leaving between one card and the other should be also what? The equivalent. These are ways you show that you are a professional. So let's answer another question. Let's say we want to know what? What do we want to know? We want to count the unique departments. We want to count how many unique departments we have under what? Department header. Write it down. How many unique departments, or analyze unique departments, simple as that. Analyze unique departments. Analyze what? Unique what? Department. So that will now take me to what? You can see that what? All these, they are what? Single what? Metric. Single metric, right? Good. Now, I will right click again, create another measure. Then the name will be what? I can say what? Unique department. Now here, we are taking note of the functions because that is what I'm emphasizing on. The first one I use what? Sum, right? The second one I use what? Count. Then here now, I will use distinct count. Can you see it now? Distinct what? Count. That is the function I'm using here. Distinct count. Then I will now locate what? Department header. Where is it here? Department header. And then commit. Commit. I have it here. Now create my card. Then align it here. Then activate it. How many of them? 9. You can confirm that from Excel, right? When we copy and remove the PK the other time, we had only what? 9 of them. So the same thing, let me try and have. So what will I do? The same appearance. Take this, select what? Format what? Painter. And what? You can see. So it takes time for you to build your what? Dashboard. So this is what we create for a company. So as they are modifying their data on a regular basis, you know, everything will be showing here. So they can come here and be monitoring their business because the data entry will continue. Remember, I told us something the other time that what, even by tomorrow they add more record to the data you call in here, it will analyze it automatically. Yes, this value will change. That is why they will keep coming here to be checking what is happening. As at yesterday, they will have a particular report to give. Today, they will give another report. So you, as the chief analyst, it's just for you to be coming to your dashboard and be observing the changes and be rewriting your reports. That's what we'll be doing. But you have already taken time to build the report model. So now let's continue. I want to make sure that what I feel I have 1, 2, 3. I think we can add what 2 cards in order to occupy the whole of this what row before we go for creating our main what report with Q and A. So I will use Q and A to develop what all the report that will be here, all the main reports. That is the plan for today. So let's create one more report. This time around, I want you to be the one to suggest one metric question. Let's look at tasks. Let's analyze what total task paid by all the what the employee. Write down the question because you will go and answer this same question. These are the questions you will use to build your dashboard if you are using the same data. But if you are using another data, then you construct your questions by yourself. Are we together? So what's the question again? Total task paid by all the what? The employees. Total task paid by all the employees. So I create another measure. This time around, let me use this one. You know, I'll be right-clicking seats, are we? So yes, let me use this one so that we can also confirm that it's the same thing. Right? So now, what is the description? Total what? Task paid, have you? Task paid. Let me just put employee. Don't want the description to be too long. So which function are we using? Is this sum? Good. Sum. Then we are targeting task picture or header. And then I commit as well. If you forget all this step, you need deliverance because I have done it several times. The same thing. I don't think it should be difficult for anybody to quickly apply. So nobody should come here in the next class without doing the assignments. If not that person, I'll drive away from the class. So now, so we are adding what? Where is it? You can see sometimes if you use total, that's why I was adding different because you can have total. And then you now be very difficult to know which one. This is the one we are applying. I'll click here. Remember that you can also drag it and put it inside, right? Yes. Okay, the next one I'll show you that option. So now let me also replicate this, select this, click here, and hit. So what is happening here? Total task paid is already in thousands, right? It's already in thousands. All right. So what do we do to rectify this? We go to what? Format, call out value, change it from here to what? To millions. Yeah, smart, Jerry. So I want to stop here, or do you have any question I want to answer? Yes, okay, well, yeah, give us question with average, give us question. Since you are the one that suggested it, give us question. Average of what? Basic salary, right? Okay. So let's go there. At least we have confirmed this. We have confirmed this. I wanted to show us this, but it's a class on its own. A whole class, this quick measure. So I don't want to focus on this. So let's go there. So what will be our description for this? It can be Africa, some, yes, now, the A can be Africa now. Don't worry, I'm just average what? Basic salary, because the description will show them. So here is what? Average. Now, you also know what is average A. I mean, so average of basic salary. Then I commit. All right. So to output it, hope it can enter here. It should be able to enter. So I'm mindful of the space. So let me just bring in this one first so that I'll calculate everything at once. So here is the average again. It will be top because of the alphabet that starts it. So this is what I was saying. You can drag it and just what? Drop it here like this. If you don't want to be clicking. So now this average is much, so I need to reduce this one. So with this, I think I should be able to have space for the average. Huh? So we have to go back and change it to what? Yes. Now, the next thing is, so I've created this, so I'm going to go for commercial break. Okay, so let's quickly go back to the slides. So let's look at Power BI Q and A. Oh yeah. Power BI Q and A. Is a feature that lets you ask questions about your data in natural language. In natural language, like you are chatting with your reports. And it gives you instant visual answers. So this is one of the most powerful features as far that I like in Power BI. It's very, very, very efficient. And you can deploy it to do most of this analysis. You have to start creating measure for. So can I move to the next slide? So let's quickly look at some of the okay, I think I duplicated so this should be our next class. So let's quickly move back to our Power BI and see how we can actually use this natural language to answer and to build model. So this is the visual Q&A. So all you need to do, it does not require internet. All your questions must be within the data sets loaded here.
So you don't expect it to answer question on a data set that is not here. So it synchronizes all the answer from the data. In other words, it will analyze the data, it will deploy the measures by itself and give you the answers instantly. Now you can convert those answers because those answers must be real time. Once you answer, just like Google search, once you search on the search bar, you search for a particular, let's say, about an item. Once you type another question on that Google search bar, it will override what the previous one. But here, that is how it works actually. But we can take further steps to convert them to what? Our visual reports. So let's see how we can use it. All you need is just to activate it. Once you click on it, it's trying to scan through your data and it should be able to bring out some default questions. These are some questions that the language must assume that you want to ask. Like the first one here, say what? What is the sum of what? So which means that it's talking of what? This is applied on the heads here based on this suggested question. But if I want you to answer question from this, then I will have selected what? This data. But even at that, you can still ask your question. I think this one goes with the data set now. Look at it here. What is the what? Total basic what? Salary. This is from this second data. So it actually synchronizes all these questions randomly from the available what? Data sets you have here. But if your question does not align with this, now I want to ask my question. Remember the question that brought out this, right? What was the question? What is, so next time you don't need to even waste your time writing measure. This is what you do. What is what? The total, right? What is the total basic salary? So as you are typing it, is automatically what? Suggesting. Madam, are you with me? So now you check if you have one of these already. So this is what I want. I will just click. So this is the answer. Isn't that the same thing with this? Cool, sharp, sharp. Now, the next challenge you have is that, okay, because this one, once I take off this now, I will no longer what? Have this. So I want it to be my report. What will I do? I'll click on this icon that says what? Turn this Q and A result into a standard what? Visual. So once I click here, automatically it becomes a visual now that you can depend on. So these have automatically created what? What we spend time to go and start creating what? Measure. So the whole of your dashboard, you can use Q and A to do everything. So let's ask the other question. Per department, for example, basic salary per what? Each department. So that is the question we will have answered with what? Table, right? So let me activate it again. So once that is done, you keep that visual aside and then you go back again. Now, I don't want card because this question is what? Single what? Metric what? Results. I want categorical analysis. That is, I want the summation of basic salary against what? The unique what? Departments here. So let me ask the question. What is the basic salary? Basic salary per what? Departments. So let's search. It's like there's an error. What is the, okay, my D. Have you got to your answer? Okay, so I have it here. Is there still any error? What is the basic? Oh, my salary is not well spent.
So let me just pick from the suggestion here. Basic salary per department. Okay, the answer is even there. And it has plotted what? A graph of it automatically. So now to convert what to your visual, you simply what? Click here. So you now have it as visual. So I can reduce it. If I want to switch to table, what will I do? I will copy this, right? Paste it, which is part of what I thought of the other time. Because I wanted it to be presented in a tabular model, but instead it gave it to me as what? A graph. So I have to copy it and switch to what? To table here. Now that is in form of what? This one. So you can actually use the Q&A to do all your analysis. Is it clear? So I want to ask more questions. So let me design. Pay attention. Don't operate yet. Or I can just stop here and do the reverse. Now, the arrangement I want is, let me have the table here. Yes, we'll format it now. So we'll go to, let me work with value first. Now, I want the Q&A to calculate what? The total basic salary for only what? May. Total basic salary for only May. I want to also output that. It's one of the insights I want to present. Total basic salary. Total basic salary for male gender. So I have it here. I believe the answer should be here. I have it here. Though my spelling is wrong, but it got it. Everything is 9 million. I mean, no, it cannot be this. So let me correct this. Yeah, no, I don't know why my keyboard is. The keyboard is total. It is adding what? Let me delete everything. So total, okay, so what is 12 million? Let me, total basic salary for me. Okay, there's no, okay, it's true. From the data sets, it's M that we have there, okay, thank you very much. So now you convert it to visual also. So this is a start. So take your time to do your formatting. So this is where I stop. So your assignment is to create not less than 2 different dashboards using measures, table, clustered graphs, and Q&A.